Dawn of Man is a strategy city building simulation that tasks you with making your tribe survive from Stone Age to Iron Age. Pluses. I love the theme of it. I think it's very original, I like the variety in my city builders, and this is the first one that I find to deal with prehistoric people. Doesn't mean it's the first one to exist to deal with this topic, it just means that it's the first one that I have played. Lots of playtime guaranteed if you push yourself to finish it. There are 3 free play modes, one of which I just finished and it took me 13 hours. You unlock the modes by passing milestones in previous ones, so you do need to somewhat play them in a row. Each one of them lets you choose from 2 difficulties and multiple starting locations. There's also 4 challenge modes and 2 build modes. There is something very charming about slowly evolving your people through the ages and watching them go around the village doing things. Especially when you start domesticating animals, and then there's animals too. I love this game for it. Minuses. This is gonna be a long list. I've invested enough time in this game to explore most of its nooks and crannies after a while. The cracks do show. AI. AI really can't fulfill its own basic needs. I've learned early to not send your guys to do jobs too far away, as they will leave without eating first, and they will just starve to death during their journey. I also had people starving to death while working the fields next to a granary full of food. They thought that finishing their job took priority over eating, and I couldn't tell them to prioritize eating over working. This seems to happen only once you have quite a few villagers, so thankfully it's not completely game-breaking. One starving when you have 50 people and one starving when you have 6 people are problems with a hugely different impact. To buy upgrades from a resource tree, which is what pushes you through the ages, you need to either accomplish specific things or survive 1 year. You're guaranteed to gain a point after each winter. Most of the accomplishments involve hunting, gathering, or making specific amount of stuff. You most likely will achieve this over time, so don't worry about it. However, you can also gain point for building 1 of each building and a second point for building 5 of each building. This allows you to game the system by spamming each building 5 times no matter you need it or not. This leaves your village looking cluttered and you feeling unsatisfied. Important to mention that if you're playing on hard difficulty, where raiders from other villagers can evolve faster than you will most definitely have to game the system. You try to automate your village as much as possible by putting down work zones. Unfortunately, you do not get the list of your placed down work zones, and if the only way to find them is by, well, manually finding them. You can use Primal Vision, which highlights resources, animals, and work zones. However, if your work zone is, let's say, inside a bush, you will most likely easily lose it. You see it as important when you either don't want your people to gather a type of resource anymore, or if you need to move the work zone. Things like mud and fish get exhausted, so you either need multiple work zones or move one around. There's also no way to prioritize a work zone. So if I'm building a lot of things and I need a lot of mud, I can't tell my villagers that my need for mud is more urgent than my need for logs. And whatever you do, don't put down a hunting zone unless you fancy seeing a single person from the village travel all the way to a bear and die to it. Even if there's elks there most of the time, sometimes it's gonna be bears, and your AI will be too stupid to figure out that maybe it's better not. The game is fairly idle. I like this because sometimes I need an overall slower, quieter game. I tend to play it while also playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. However, if that is not your thing, this is a warning. This game is mostly about placing structures and waiting halfway to forever for extra research points so that you can advance. Overall, see that minus list over there? So do I. But I can't help but love this little game. I love it with all of its little flaws and can admittedly be game-breaking for someone else. And this is why I won't rate it. I can't be objective about it. However, I hope that my review helped you in seeing points for and against Dawn of Man.